Hey guys, I'm actually going to be going through how I use Publisher when I'm building my decor template. So I'm going to start with the Publisher. I open up blank. I like widescreen. I'm going to insert some blank pages, right? So if you highlight, and I think you can do insert page and do multiple. So we'll put some in there. I don't need that many. When I'm doing a bunch, I do a bunch. Now, when I go to insert up at the top, go to page parts. I actually have page parts that I've already put in. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how I would put together something. So I was just asked to make something. So let me start with that and show you. I was asked to make a princess party, and I'm going to quickly make it look like what it was supposed to. This is what we're shooting for. So I'm going to show you how I created this. So the first thing as I do is I go to insert. I just went to a different page, go to page parts, and I go down to my arch section, and I pick the arch that I wanted, and that goes in. I don't worry about the color right now. Kind of put that off to the side. And then if you see, we're going to have an arch and two columns, but the two columns are going to be identical. So I'm just going to add one column and then copy it. So I'm going to go to page parts, well, let me do that from its correct spot so you know where I go. I don't just go to arch, you can also go down to column. And in this case, I just picked this guy because if we're going to do columns, we should make it easy. And I'm going to drag it until this line shows up underneath the arch. That lets me kind of get them about the same spot, at least on the bottom. Now, they're not proportional. So I'm going to hold down Shift, click up here, and drag it. Shift keeps it in proportion till it's about the same size, right? So what I'm looking at there are these circles. I want to make sure that this one and this one are kind of close. Doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, this will probably have to be smaller only because this arch is not to scale. Now, if I go to page parts and I throw in a person, again, if I go to the correct spot for that, that's down here with my general and framing. I can do the same thing where I line him up. He's not wanting to line up. And anyway, I'm gonna make him smaller first and then line him up. There we go. And then I know in the arch, he's gonna stand about there-ish. So that kind of helps with the columns. In fact, I usually do my arch, scale my guy, and then make my column kind of according to that. With a 3-footer on top, he's going to be looking right at it. That makes it about the right height for what we're looking for. Now, the next thing I'm looking at is I'm looking at this unicorn head. So we don't actually have unicorn heads in our page parts. As amazing as that would be, that's a custom piece. So what I'm going to do to make my unicorn head is I'm going to go down to another page, go to page parts, and I'm going to shift and make this a little bigger. This is just a topper, or it's a circle, but I pulled it from my topper section right here. And then I also want to add in these balloon flowers, which is just something that came with what I had. And then if I look back here, I also have a unicorn horn. So I'm going to go to page parts. That was the horn that I used, but that was way down here. I was looking and I said, hey, do we have anything for a horn? Anything for a horn? I thought about maybe like an upside down carrot, but didn't think it would look that great. Um, that's a sculpture I did today. Actually, that's kind of interesting. But anyway, when it's all said and done, I found down here in the foil balloons this horn. Now, in all actuality, will I use a foil? I don't know. Kind of depends. But it's a little big for what I'm doing. There we go. So, and you have to expand beyond everything to grab it. So what I mean by that is if I just do this, it's not going to grab that circle. You have to go around the entire circle with the bounding box to actually select it. So that's just something good to know. Now, with these flowers, I'm going to ungroup. So I do that by right-clicking, ungroup, and then I'm going to place these a little closer. I'm using the up and down arrows to make that look where I want it to be. And again, up and down arrows to get that where I want it to be. Then I do not need these, so I'm going to select and delete each of those. select these. I'm going to group. I'm going to hold down shift and turn. The hold down shift allows me ideally to keep them straight, but it's not wanting to work. So we'll just kind of straighten them out as best we can, right? And then this is going to go on top. Gonna have to shift that a little bit bigger. Gonna get this out of the way and pull this guy about to where we want it. Now, the cool thing about page design is when I click on different things, it changes colors, right? We're in our unicorn party, but let's say we are in our rainbow, right? What I would do is I would go to down here, I go to new color scheme, and then I can pick what each of those colors I want to be. So red, orange, yellow, green, etc. Rename it as whatever you want. In this case, unicorn, and I'll show you what I did. I always have black as the top and white as the bottom. That's just the way I do it. And I picked pale blue, pink, I'm sorry, pale blue, yellow, um, probably rose pink, and red, because those were the colors of the party, and hit save. Now, this one's now the correct color. This one is not, we'll fix later. And this one doesn't look correct at all. So I'm actually going to ungroup only because it makes it a little bit easier. I usually select all just because I can. And then if you click any of these on top, they'll change when you do the top one. If you do other stuff, it will not. So even these count too. So I could do something like this, and it would still change when I go to different colors, right? And when I do that, it's not changing to the top color, it's changing to that shade of color. So this has to do with the amount of tint, lightness or darkness that's there. So I would like, since the horn is kind of gold, I'm going to do blue, then I'm going to select 2, and then I'm going to do pink, and then actually I'm going to make the middle one blue. So let's make this red. And the reason I'm selecting 2 is because if I select 1, it doesn't do the same thing. So I have to go to Format Object, and then I can still change it here. But it's just an extra step. So selecting multiple is kind of crazy, easier. Once I select on something, I can select inside of it. But if I hold Control, I can't select inside of 2. So you either have to ungroup, whoops, you either have to ungroup them all or group them all, and then you can select inside of it, hold Control, and select multiple inside. And I'm going to make those white. I'm going to take the unicorn horn, right click. I can click send backward, or I can just right click and is it format? Nope, I don't know. Send back, send back. Sometimes if you catch different ones, you can just go to order and go send it back. So maybe it has to be like not in the middle. I don't know why it's not showing up. But anyway, now we've got the unicorn horn and the flowers and the head. The next thing that I needed for the unicorn was the eyelashes and the cheeks and the ears. So when I go to insert, I can go to shapes, and I can just create an oval, and I'm just going to color this white. And notice how it's really thick. If you hit this over here on the outline, you can go to weight. I typically go to the smallest one. I just find it looks better. And then I can copy paste, and then I can make this smaller. And the reason I'm making this long and thin is so that the top part here, like the centerpiece, let me color it. That's going to be white. Let's do this as pink. And actually, I'm going to do a shade of pink. No, I'm not. I'm not going to do a shade. There we go. That's better. Shade of red. I guess technically it's a tint of red. So now that we've got this, we're going to group, and I'm going to place behind the head. So right click and order, send to back. Give this a little bit of a tilt, shape it down to the right size, right? We can even put this over some. I'm just using my arrows to kind of tell me where it's going. I don't like how tall that is. And then copy paste, rotate the other direction. And also these guidelines will try to find the same spot. So if you look, it tried to line up those two corners. And then I can go to order, send to back. And then now I've got something I can kind of play around with here, right? So now we've got the ears done. When I go to insert, I go to shapes. For the eyes, I was kind of didn't really know what I was doing with that. So I just found the arc. If I hold down shift, does it make it look nicer? Maybe. So there we go. And then I rotate this so it's the right way. And then I copy paste. And then I can kind of move these here. And remember, if I select, as long as I'm not fully covering things, I can select just what I'm surrounding completely, right? So this could theoretically work. I actually used some more arcs to get some thicker lines here. So again, if I control hold these guys, I want to make this line weight as small as possible. Now what happens is when you zoom, let me see if I can show you this. Ungroup. Now, if I take this guy and make him really big, then these lines don't look super thick and close together, but they do here. So if I can take this guy and how do I want to do this? I'm going to control click all these guys because that's going to be the easiest way to not lose track of where it is. Then right click, make the weight super small, and then return it to the same size. You can see that's a much prettier picture than that. And that all has to do with that line weight. So I'm actually going to delete that, copy paste, and throw that over there. When you make a bigger photo, it doesn't matter, but that's it. So I'm not actually going to add those eyelashes, but the way we did that is I went to page part, shapes, did the arc again, or you can just take this, copy paste, make it smaller, hold down shift, rotate it, there we go, rotate, and then kind of move it in. So now I've got an eyelash, an eyelash, an eyelash. So first one would go here, and I can zoom in, by the way. Next one can go here. Next one can go here. So for this guy, I just kind of put on the top. And then the other two, I just kind of place based on where I think they need to be. I'm grabbing the wrong one. Do, 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 do. There we go. And that's how we would do that. And then I can also select those guys. I can group. I can copy paste, and I can put those guys over here. And then does this? Yep. I can just drag from this side to this side. And that gets me pretty close to this guy. Get the top one. Not moving them all together because theoretically, if they all hit this line at the right spot, it's going to be the same size as that one, right? So that's the goal. Now I can zoom back out again. I'm zooming in. I can zoom back out again. And then the last thing finally is we have our cheeks. So I just took a round balloon, held down shift, and made my little cheek. And then I can copy paste, line it up on the other side, line it up with the eyelash maybe, and then I can highlight or bounding box those guys. I'll go to the weight, go to the smallest weight, I'll go to the color, I'll go to that first shade of red, and now I've got my um, unicorn head. Then I do bounding box over everything, and I group, copy, control copy, put over here, control V, hold down shift, size it smaller, hold shift, scroll down, and then I actually have to think about proportions here, right? So this is a 2-foot balloon. So it's about the width of that, right? So kind of gives you an idea. Here we go. Kind of gives you an idea of the size. And then once we have that about right, we can place that on top. I think it looks better when this is in the back. So let's right click on it, order, send to back. Now it looks like it actually would with the column. Now I will put this column temporarily here. Put my little man next to it. Now this is okay. This could theoretically work. It's in the colors. If you go to page design, it's actually in the unicorn colors. This is the blue and the yellow from the unicorn. But this is not what we wanted to do. So what I'm doing is I'm going to highlight all of this. I'm going to ungroup. Now this slows down the computer, so you don't want to do a lot of ungrouping on large files like this because it will cause some problems. But I'll ungroup what I can. And if I hold down Control, I can click multiple balloons here. And my goal is just to randomly pick a few. And then I'm going to say pick red. And then I actually don't like a lot of the red right next to each other. So let's get rid of some of that. And then I'm going to try and click as randomly as possible the pink. So now I have red, blue, pink, yellow. Then here I'm going to do the same thing. Control, just randomly. I guess we'll do pink first. And then I'm just going to the ones that are all blue, all yellow, all blue, right? So I'm going to go here. Just hit those. And I'm only doing that to give the illusion of randomness because like this one does have some red next to each other, some blue, but I don't want 3 next to each other, right? So that's kind of what I'm shooting for. Like this is yellow and yellow, but oh well, right? Now I like to keep them separated. So I highlight my arch, I right click, and I click group. Highlight the column piece, right click, hit group. Highlight all of the column, right click, hit group. And now I can make this all look pretty. So I'll set this guy up, set this guy up, copy paste, put him over here, and put that guy there. Highlight it all, right click, hit group, and now we've completed. In under 20 minutes, I put together a custom balloon decorations for unicorn party. Everything's amazing and perfect. But wait, how do we save it? Well, if you go to insert and you look at advertisements, I have all these custom themed things. So like I can throw in a minion theme, or I can throw in teddy bear, which are all discolored because the coloring is different, right? But it's all kinds of different options. So if you highlight it, you right click and you say save as building block. I typically save my pieces in page parts and my full things like this in advertisements. I'm going to do this in borders and accents. You can give it a name, whatever it may be, and you can title it and then click OK. And then when you go to borders and accents, it's going to show up on the top. And then I can delete because I do not want to keep it in there. So now it's gone because I've got mine right there. But that is how you put all that together. So hopefully that was helpful just to see kind of how things work.